So what really goes on in an interrogation room? Let's pull back the curtain.
First off, forget everything you think you know from the movies. That whole thing is a myth.
It's way less about being a brute, and so much more about being a psychological artist.
Yeah, you can think of them as architects, but their building material? It's the human mind.
And their work starts in a very specific laboratory. You see, the room itself is a crucial tool.
Everything in here is designed to make you lose your sense of place and even time. It's basically a sensory deprivation chamber designed to force the subject's mind inward.
In that quiet, empty space, the interrogator literally becomes your entire world.
But get this, the real work actually starts way before anyone even steps into the room.
They study a subject's file like it's a blueprint right into their mind.
Every little detail is a potential key, a lever to pry open their psyche.
And all this intense homework, it forges the interrogator's most powerful weapon.
It's called weaponized empathy. And it's a cold, calculated tool used for pure manipulation.
It's like a chess master understanding an opponent, not to connect, but to completely dismantle them.
The goal is to become the most trusted voice in their head, right before you tear it down.
This all sets the stage for what is, essentially, a controlled demolition of the will.
So, after all this psychological work, what's the actual endgame here?
It's not just about a confession. It's about totally rebuilding their reality from the ground up.
So let's start with a big question. What is an interrogator's most powerful weapon?
It's probably not what you're thinking from the movies. It's not about yelling or threats.
The real weapon, believe it or not, is rapport. It's a bridge of trust.
Okay, so how do they pull this off?
Well, it all starts by becoming an ally, not an attacker.
And the way they build this trust is super methodical. It breaks down into 4 key steps.
They use words that build you up. Think of each sentence as another brick in that foundation of trust. So the person expects a fight, right? But they get understanding instead. Their defenses just start to drop.
But building trust isn't the only thing happening here. There's a hidden second objective.
So while one hand is lowering defenses, the other is quietly establishing a behavioral baseline.
What's a baseline? It's just how a person acts when they're totally relaxed and not under pressure. They're watching everything. How fast you talk, how you sit, even where your eyes go for simple memories.
And this isn't about those mythical signs of lying you hear about. That's just not how it works.
What they're really looking for are changes from that person's specific baseline, any little deviation.
See, one change is a small flag, but a bunch of them, that signals some serious internal stress.
To make that alliance even stronger, they use a clever technique. It's called self-disclosure.
The interrogator might share a fake personal story, to seem more vulnerable and relatable.
This is pure psychology. It's reciprocity. If I open up to you, you're more likely to open up to me.
Suddenly, the subject doesn't see an enemy anymore. They see someone who actually gets it.
At that point, the interrogator becomes the only person who can offer a way out of this mess.
And this path they're offering, it feels less like a cage and a whole lot more like a lifeline.
But here's the thing. That lifeline, it's been built to lead to exactly one place, a confession.
It just shows you how powerful rapport is. So think about this. Where else is it being used on you?
Today we're going inside the interrogation room to look at the psychology of modern questioning.
So beyond just building rapport, interrogators open up a whole psychological toolkit.
And these aren't blunt instruments. They're precision tools that exploit glitches in how we think.
Let's start with a really subtle but powerful tool called cognitive load.
It's all based on a very simple fact. Telling a lie is just hard work for your brain. I mean, think about it. You're inventing a story, hiding the truth, and watching their reaction.
To really turn up that pressure, they'll ask you to do something very specific.
Telling a real story backwards? Simple. But a fake one? That's where things get messy.
And all that pressure creates visible cracks, like stammering, long pauses, and new slip-ups.
Okay, next up is a classic pincer movement, maximization and minimization.
First, maximization. This creates this feeling of overwhelming, inevitable proof against you.
The whole point is to make you feel like denying anything is absolutely useless. But then, right when you feel trapped, they switch it up completely. Suddenly, they're offering you an out, a face-saving reason for what happened.
And that's the pincer, right? One side crushes hope, the other offers a lifeline.
This whole strategy isn't random. It's a core part of the read technique. Its goal is to systematically wear down your will to resist until you finally break.
What this all leads to is a carefully engineered choice. Basically, a psychological trap.
So you can keep fighting a losing battle, or you can take the easy way out. All right, let's get into the psychology of a confession. What exactly is the architecture of surrender?
So how does an interrogation actually lead to a confession? It's really not like the movies.
We all kind of picture this dramatic snap, right? A sudden moment of truth. But nope.
See, the key thing is, a confession isn't one single break. It's a total demolition.
And this demolition? It happens in 4 key stages. So let's walk through them.
It starts with building a whole new reality. The interrogator's first job, complete and total control. They cut the person off, fill them with doubt, and take away all hope. It's a psychological siege.
The goal is simple: make denial feel pointless, and make confessing feel like the only way out. That first crack isn't a shout, it's a quiet shift. So, what does that actually look like?
At the start, you get these really forceful denials. That's the first wall they put up.
But then, it goes quiet. They might slump, they look away. That's the critical shift. And right here, the interrogator completely changes tactics from an accuser to sort of confessor. The promise isn't legal, it's psychological. It's an escape from all that pressure they've built up.
So that breaking point, we imagine, it's not a snap. It's a slow, quiet collapse inside.
A confession rarely starts with a full statement. It's usually just a tiny, tiny crack.
You know, something just like this. And at this point, the interrogator has to be so careful. So instead of pushing, they treat that tiny admission like a massive breakthrough. They praise them.
And that positive reinforcement, it's a powerful reason for the person to start revealing more.
And for the subject? Well, they feel this huge wave of relief. The exhausting fight is finally over.
It really comes down to a simple calculation. Confessing hurts less than resisting does.
The last step is to take that raw confession and shape it into a proper legal statement. And here's the weird part. The subject often feels grateful. They see the interrogator as an ally. So that signed paper, it's the final piece in this whole architecture of surrender.
This quote really gets to the heart of it. The work doesn't just end when a case is closed.
Their job is literally to be an architect of mental demolition. Over time, that skill gets pretty corrosive. Their tools are intense, weaponized empathy, building and betraying trust, and just a relentless focus. So every interrogation is a high-stakes performance, a constant tightrope walk of emotional control. You see the gap, right? What they project versus what they're actually doing. It creates this huge internal divide. This constant internal conflict, it creates a real wound to the soul. Psychologists have a term for it. It's called moral injury. It's what happens when you're forced to violate your own deeply held moral beliefs.
And you can see how this plays out. This path can slowly dismantle a person's self over an entire career.
The very tools they use on suspects end up turning inward. It can lead to cynicism and deep detachment.
But what happens when that relentless focus goes wrong? There's another threat in the room: their own mind. It's classic confirmation bias. If you go in believing someone's guilty, you'll see guilt in everything. Suddenly, the goal isn't finding the truth. It's just about getting that confession, no matter what.
And that's how you get the tragedy of a false confession. It's a constant battle against their own mind.
But here's the thing. The interrogator's tools, they're not magic. They're actually a mirror for all of us. What they're doing is just an extreme version of everyday persuasion. They tap into things we all experience. Think about it. Our desire for rapport, the need to reduce dissonance, they just pull those threads perfectly. Studying their methods really reveals our own vulnerabilities. It shows how badly we need stories to make sense.
We need to believe a story, even one from someone who clearly benefits from our belief. It's kind of scary.